When I first started my ascension 5 years ago, and I was leaving a 25-year career in vet med, there's a lot of changes in my life, a lot. And God naturally, and in such a powerful and organic way, walked me through the whole thing. And it required quite a bit of surrender on my part, quite a bit of release, quite a bit of faith, which I already had a lot of, but I wouldn't even call it a test so much as I would now, in retrospect, more of a strengthening of my faith. Noticed that the stronger my faith got, even when I thought my faith couldn't get any stronger, something else would happen. I had an intentional effort to destroy my life going on in the background, which initially I thought was just spiritual warfare, but turns out most of it was man-made warfare. Everything that happens to me is to serve the kingdom of heaven, to serve my purpose in this world, or for my highest and greatest good. And I take that perspective to literally everything. And it doesn't mean that frustration doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that sadness doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that I don't go through a normal range of emotions. But I am just very quick to check myself. Highly intuitive. It's not a matter of not knowing certain things. I know a lot more than I let on. I'm smart. I don't tell everybody everything that I know, not to be a gatekeeper, but because I haven't been guided to. And some things are for me, but some things I know about, and whatever I know about that isn't about me, unless I am guided, then I just allow. At times can be even more difficult. But when you understand how damaging, how dangerous codependency, people-pleasing, and especially if you are a leader in the kingdom of heaven, we see this happening a lot right now, coming out of a space of humility and gratitude and very easily slipping into like a savior complex. Men are just naturally, I feel like, going to have a harder time with this because they're physiologically wired for ego, because they're leading in the physical. For women that are leaders, you can slip into that same position and be more in your masculine energy, and then you're at risk. You have an open door to a Jezebel spirit. And so you just have to be really mindful of those things and never consider the fact that you are untouchable, that even being as protected as you are, it's a co-creation. Your life is a co-creation. And so God can only use you if you're being obedient to God and your mission for God. And as I was going through all of these changes and strengthening my faith, closing cycles, observing relationships, and taking account for what those relationships have added to my life, what setbacks I've had because of those relationships, and Where did I miss the lesson in those relationships, if at all? And this isn't easy. It's not easy, especially when you're a very loyal person, a very nurturing person, a very empathic person. And for me, I'm somebody that has lifelong friendships. I don't have a lot of just very meaningless friendships. And typically, when I give somebody the responsibility to be in my life, it means that I trust them and I care for them deeply. So, having to reconsider the responsibility that I have given away in my life, for whatever reason, was a very difficult thing to do. Some people made it a little bit easier on me. And the thing is that people who have not taken accountability for their life, for their choices, people who have chosen to stay the victim, they've chosen to stay wounded for whatever reason, that's the choice that they have made. You're never going to find somebody who is a narcissist that is independently moving forward in their life and intentionally disconnecting from relationships that are draining them energetically. So it's so funny whenever my son's dad calls me a narcissist. It's like, dude, do you even know what a narcissist is? Probably not, because you are one. But it's the label is irrelevant, actually. It's about the intention, and it's about the energy within a connection. And this is another reason why gossip is considered witchcraft, because gossip always has a negative intention. Always. You may not feel that way, and it might not be a conscious negative intention. And that might be hard to understand also if you are somebody who participates in gossip, even if you think that you don't, or you tell people you don't, or even if you try to glamour it up with fake good intentions, oh, we care about her, this is why we're telling you, or like you're literally just going around creating a giant smear campaign to try to fit somebody into some complete and utter fully bullshit narrative because you've committed fraud in the background and you don't want to get found out. And so you're trying to get somebody locked up or have them take themselves out. That's a very nefarious form of gossip. But even in that, through my perspective and through my healing, God can still use that for my greatest good, my highest good. Because all that is doing is like self-elimination. Because anybody that would participate in gossip about you, anybody who would talk negatively about you for any reason behind your back does not care about you. Just straight up. They don't. And especially in terms of me, because I am so loyal and so dedicated in my friendships, in my connections, every relationship I have, that is a way in which I move. So I'm not expecting something from other people that I myself do not embrace, right? So if I don't talk about you behind your back, if I intentionally shut people down that try to do that for whatever reason, if I come and let you know, and then you're very quick to either listen to gossip, spread gossip, not check in on me, not inform me, you are self-eliminating out of my life. You see? And so what people won't tell you, and this is a nefarious part when they spread gossip, when they spread witchcraft, which is fear, because gossip is all driven by fear. I know that anybody that I have disconnected from in my life, even if I just went on 1 or 2 dates with someone, before that disconnection happened, I had the integrity to have minimally at least one conversation. Typically it's more than that, but if you held value in my life, if you gave me any bit of your time, and for whatever reason I am feeling unsafe, I'm feeling like there's something happening that I'm feeling more guarded than I should with you, and so I'm going to pull back my energy, I always have a conversation. Like I said, at least one. Usually it's multiple. I had conversations for years with my mother about respecting boundaries and being honest and taking accountability and not overstepping, not undermining, not disrespecting. And she still to this day cannot take accountability for her behavior of her life. And I already forgave her for that. I went through a whole long process. She was actually one of the last sort of cycles to close up through forgiveness and love. Now, some people might feel like they didn't get any closure, but just because they made the choice to communicate or behave the way that they did doesn't mean that they didn't get closure. It means that they didn't want closure. I don't allow those relationships in my life because of the effort that I put in to save a relationship, friendship, whatever it is. I intentionally put effort in to heal, to communicate, to be honest. And I expect the same in return for anybody that's in my life. It's just unfortunate that that seems to be a pretty high standard for a lot of people. And that's okay. I don't judge people for it. Unfortunately, they judge me quite a bit for it. Again, though, I don't really care. And it's not that I don't care about them. It's that I don't care about their judgment of me, but that's a part of discipline. It's a large part of acceptance. There's nobody who got to where they wanted to get in life without disconnecting from people, without having to separate from people. I don't remember who or when or how I learned this, but it really helped my perspective adjust in that you don't reject people, you reject energy. And this to me just really helped with developing my boundaries, but also it creates a bridge in a way. So if someone is choosing to remain where they're at and you can't remain there for whatever reason, you can't choose codependency. You can't choose to stay where you're at, because then you're going to turn bitter. Your empathy for whomever or whatever the situation is going to turn to apathy. And you're going to be lowering your own vibration. You're going to be draining yourself. And that's a choice as individuals we all have to make. And when you're saying, even to yourself or to whomever you're speaking to, that, you know, you forgive them or you're not mad at them or whatever it is, like, if you even have that conversation, you can leave that door open for realignment. It's just most people need to end connections, need to end relationships in the most toxic way possible for some godforsaken reason. You know, it just is like, it's a demonstration of just how toxic the relationship was if as soon as you're disconnected from someone, you act out, you go on a social media smear campaign or worse, you try to curse them or hex them. That's about them not learning a lesson, not you. And if you are truly choosing yourself and choosing to heal, you're not going to demonstrate that behavior. And for me, especially as I was sort of coming to the first closing of my initial ascension before I sold my house, had really closed out quite a lot of cycles with people. And by closing out cycles, what I mean is that I have made an intentional effort to change the intention around a relationship. I have evaluated my role in any connection or relationship that I had. And I have determined the amount of energy, if any, that I want to continue to give to this friendship, this relationship. And then I have communicated that, or at least attempted to. But again, if someone chooses to not hear you, that's their choice. And you should know that if someone is coming to you in a one-sided way to gossip about someone else or something somebody else did to them, or being pissed off at the way somebody handled it, like just talking negatively about somebody that at one time they called a friend or at one time was in their life, they are the ones that have a negative intention. And that conversation should be happening with that person, because you're not qualified to help them, because what they're seeking is validation. That's all they're seeking. They're not seeking advice. They're not seeking healing. They're seeking validation. If they wanted to heal, they would have to have that conversation with someone else, but there's a reason that didn't happen. And for anyone to assume that didn't happen for a negative reason, right? Like, most people don't just ghost people, okay? Especially if they had a long-term friendship or relationship with them, okay? That's bullshit. They don't. There might be people who respond by ghosting, by not responding. That happened to me quite a bit. But again, not responding is also a response. And if that's the way that you choose to handle that, then that's the way you choose to handle that. But you can't hold that against someone. For me, what I find, particularly gross is like a whole group of people who literally inherited a curse from God, brought insane levels of karma with no facts. Like, literally potentially risked lives, people's abundance, your health, your families, your jobs, based on no fact. And it's just shocking to me that so many people would participate in that, like grown adults. It's sad, though. It's really sad, because again, it's just really like this codependent need for validation. That's all it is. It's like this group victimization. It's like a group trauma bond, because there's no healing. And people that want to stay perpetual victims are going to surround themselves with people that will validate them in doing that. You're not going to heal someone that isn't making the choice to heal themselves. And for me, I've always looked at it as, especially, after my ascension, but even before that, I've always talked to people about God and about my faith and my relationship with God, because I'm not like a Bible thumper like people, might have the impression that I am. I'm really not. That is what I'm giving to like my platforms, because that's my purpose. And God is in everything that I do. I can't turn it off or on. This is like literally who I am. This was like so weird. It's like y'all are waiting for me to like walk away from myself. No, like, but I've always given people an opportunity to learn through my faith. I've shared my faith with them, whether it's inviting them to church, just talking to them about God, talking to them about my faith, like sharing my perspective, sharing with them my wisdom that I have extracted from my own personal experiences. And some people have been open to that. You know, some people have come to church or joined church, you know, or gotten, you know, deeper into their faith. And I'm grateful that God has used me in that way. Unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot of those people because I've been intentionally disconnected from every platform and the entire community that I created. Like I said, I can't see my numbers. All of my views say 0 on every, like either between 0 or 200, pretty much on every platform that I've made. So the only reason I know that I grew an entire community and that my content was being exploited and sold by a disgusting POS and an entire group was because I accessed my analytics outside of my network. And I've done that quite a bit. And then, of course, you know, the dumbos who put their, like, seriously ugly faces next to my name, my handle. You know, that made it pretty obvious. And then when you block me on different social sites like Facebook and Instagram, and I can see that there's hundreds of fake accounts using my image or my name or trying to trigger me by like copying my content even almost word for word, or creating videos that you obviously stole from digging through my Snapchat and like digging through my actual workout videos and, you know, creating entire platforms. Like, I'm literally going to sue each and every one of you. It's like, okay, thanks for earning the money for me. Obviously, just a bunch of other ways in which it was pretty obvious to put 2 and 2 together. But it's like, eventually, you really have to be honest with whatever relationship, whatever connection that you're in, that if somebody has just as much access to God, which we all do, as I do, they might be not living their life. It might not be their purpose, obviously, to be a diviner. You know, we all have a unique purpose and all of that in this world. None of us are the same, and that's for good reason. Everybody is equally as needed, too. They have access to that faith, and especially if you've help them kind of open their eyes to what's available to them. And you've made an intentional effort to heal a connection, to heal a relationship, to communicate, you know, whatever it is that's not making you feel great or that has brought concern for you in staying in connection with that person. And if they are not choosing that for themselves, but they want to stay in connection with you, it is because they want to, unfortunately, maybe not consciously, drain your energy. They want to feel love from you because they don't love themselves. So essentially, they want to use the love that you're giving while they're not giving anything back to you. And they might not be able to. Most of the time, they can't. And that's typically the underlying problem, right? But you have to understand that that's also not helping them. Enabling is codependency. It's not helping them heal. It's hurting them. It's hurting them because, one, you're likely blocking their karma. And codependents are very guilty of this. And that's any conscious narcissist or sociopath, they know this. They know this. This is why they have new supply right away. They want to be able to keep up this false image. This is why they're constantly seeking validation. It's all an effort to keep up this false image and not take accountability. But in taking accountability is where they learn the lesson that sets them free, that allows their energy to change or raise up. And if it be that God wants to realign them to you, then you will be realigned, because you haven't rejected them. You have rejected their energy. Okay? But staying connected to someone or not loving those people, not being grateful for those people, not having a desire to never talk to them or see them again or whatever it is. And see, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. And this is a large part of why I've had to endure quite a lot of abuse my entire life, is because a lot of people can, through validation and through codependency or narcissism or any kind of psychopathy, they can have access to pretty much everything, especially if they're like a master manipulator or Machiavellian or, you know, a magician, a sorcerer, a wizard, a witch, a fake prophet. You know, these people are using manipulation to have access to whatever they want. They're not following God's will. They're following their will. And they're not taking accountability. So it's easy to take the easy path. It's easy to look for a quick fix for your ego. And even in codependency, you are still seeking a fix for your ego. Otherwise, you would be giving that energy to yourself. You wouldn't be giving that energy to someone who can't reciprocate it with you. But unconditional love is not enabling. It's not unconditional disrespect. It's not an open door. It's not unconditional abuse. It's not being weak. It's not unconditional kindness, unconditional forgiveness. It's none of that. And again, this can be very triggering to people, but I like to put it, especially for people that have kids, and in the way that I know that God observes me and observes everyone else, is in terms of the parent-to-child relationship. Because most people, especially if you have teenager or adult children, at some point, you had to let your child learn the hard way. Because you recognized that whatever coaching, whatever direction, whatever instruction you have given them, whatever discipline, whatever boundary, whatever consequence, and likely, especially if you are codependent, you've done that a lot. You've done that a lot. And you maybe even have had weak boundaries around that. And so you feel a lot of guilt. You feel guilt that is also codependency. And so you keep giving them chance after chance after chance after chance. I damn sure know this group of people that are still stalking and watching me. I know a lot of you are guilty, especially, you know, the old bitter Bettys and shit. Like, because of the audacity and the entitlement with this particular group of people. I mean, it's so extreme. That is one of the consequences of not recognizing where you are codependent or you're narcissistic. You have some kind of psychopathy that you have projected onto your children. And the result is that your child has an extreme form of entitlement and audacity. My mother, because she is a covert malignant narcissist, this is one of the ways, and this is one of the ways that all witches will curse children. And they do this in typically like triangulation, okay? So if they haven't broken the curse themselves, the generational curse, which my mother didn't, and you are laying down a boundary because you have observed a pattern of behavior, whether it's, you know, toxic relationships, divorce, an addiction, alcoholism, gambling, whatever it is, you've observed that many generations have held that same energy. And you've also taken accountability for your life, the trauma that caused you, and you don't want that for your kids. And so you are willing to sacrifice whatever you have to sacrifice so that your children don't have to go through that. It is a joke that anyone would ever have the audacity to speak on me as a mother, because the level of strength it takes to have your whole disgusting family, who they themselves have had multiple marriages, multiple issues with addiction, multiple toxic relationships, multiple timelines of poverty, multiple incidences of disloyalty, of adultery, of affairs, of wide open, strange, sexual relationships, toxic relationships with their children, trauma within their children, curses that now their children are living their life trying to manage. But again, because they refuse to take accountability and they want to continue to project on me with their giant egos, they're not going to be able to recognize that, nor are they going to be able to recognize it in me. But I don't need that. And see, especially this last little bit, time of making an effort to find common ground with my family, like specifically my brothers, you know, I because I am so self-aware and because I do take accountability, I had to come face to face with the fact that they actually weren't supporting me. They were actually projecting onto me. They weren't hearing me. They weren't displaying any empathy. And they were being extremely judgmental. And it doesn't matter if you're a man. If you're a man, and both of my brothers said this to me at one point before I kind of had to bring a sharp end to communication with them, is like that they don't have empathy, that they don't understand empathy. That is a closed heart. You cannot have a connection to God that you claim to have, or the universe, with a closed heart. That tells me a lot about what somebody truly has going on inside of them and what their intentions are towards me. Anybody with a closed heart is not going to be able to hear me. They're not going to be able to receive from me. They're not going to be giving anything towards me that is good or healthy. And God won't even allow it. And God showed me that. I would recognize how, I was feeling turbulent in their energy in any conversation or communication. It was like I was having a hard time getting them to really understand what I was trying to communicate. And instead of arguing with them, instead of them continuing to belittle me and devalue me and not acknowledge the pain and the suffering that I was going through, having to confront the fact that I had a whole group of actual diabolical psychopaths that had stolen my business, stolen my identity in an attempt to steal an inheritance that they were all a part of, trying to steal. I know that now. I didn't know that then. And then, of course, because I started being very successful in that business and my platforms, then they had to devise a plan to shut that shit down, because that was going to go against the fake, whatever it was, power of attorney, fraudulent marriage, whatever you disgusting creatures did. That was all a lie, okay? Because I have no connection with any of these people. None. So it was all a lie. They still have not released my money. They still have not communicated. So that's why I'm still talking about it. I don't even have access to the platforms that I created. They put a fake prostitute in my place to get away with the fake whatever it was that they put together. Then they put your money into either a trust fund, little conservatorship that they got through their corrupt connections in the Freemasons. In especially the Freemasons that were engaged in this, because they're all politicians, judges, attorneys, and they're corrupt AF. Unfortunately, they directed that corruption at the wrong person. And their goal then is to drive a narrative to fit you into whatever their plans were for you, okay? To traumatize you to the point of like complete dissonance, throw a ton of black magic at you, throw a lot of ending magic. Like, this is what I know Shelby, disgusting vial of a troll Edelberg, has been doing and is currently doing to my 11-year-old son right now, because she's a filthy creature. Filthy. Who didn't even raise one of her children. At least one of her children. I know this because William told me. William actually mentioned the S word. That isn't something he ever learned from me. That isn't something we talk about in my household. That isn't something that would ever even be in his energy. But when disgusting creature Shelby Edelberg started to come into the picture, and my son mentions that word, and then you plot with his school to not even invite me into the conversation for, again, which you all are going to be compensating me and William. Like, all of these people are going to get sued. It's wild. Like, I cannot believe how dumb these people are. But that's what they do. And they're traumatizing you. They're creating these scenarios so that they can drive whatever narrative. And then they use, like, their, technology company, their security companies, their fake doctors. I mean, look at the nasty old fat, disgusting. Like, this dude is such a pig. The doctor from, like, Life Skills or whatever, the psychologist, he needs to be looked into, that psychologist, by the way. Like, this dude should already have lost his license and be in jail. Like, he was trying to illegally treat someone without ever examining them. If you haven't read the Diddy docket, go read it, because basically this play of the Jezebel and the narc, who, despite appearing to have everything, they never had access to love. Just like my disgusting mother, all the effort they put in, they never had access to love. And it triggers the absolute shit out of people who have chosen to not take accountability, people who have chosen to not heal, especially women who are miserable, who had every opportunity to change their lives, but they chose not to. And instead of taking accountability and healing, they want to get rid of, devalue, and minimize the walking, breathing example of what they don't have. And that's the love of their child. That's the respect and the honor of their child, for which they didn't earn. And that can be very painful. But again, that isn't my problem. That's not Demore Hatley's problem. You could not possibly, unless you have a family and a group of people around you who are so fake, so plastic, so empty, that they have to commit crimes, they have to run smear campaigns, they have to steal, they have to sacrifice their children. And by the way, that's what that is. That's also what these disgusting creatures are attempting to do to me, but that's what they want to do, so that they can live off of other people's energy. This has been happening for many, 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 many years. Okay, it goes all the way back. This is black magic. This is voodoo. This is cursing. It's just, unfortunately, for some people, and it's very sad, that they fall into the trap. So they don't recognize where they need to lay boundaries. They don't recognize their own addictions. They don't heal. And their aura is easily penetrated, and they're easily taken advantage of. And then their family, who are just giant pieces of shit. I mean, look at Britney's family. Like, none of these people would be anything. I mean, I know, like, her sister or something had, like, a little stint with music or whatever, but, like, Kevin Federline, this dude's still trying to write a book and eat off of, like, the back of Britney. Like, this dude should be canceled, okay? Like, get wrecked, bro. But you notice the pattern here. Observe the pattern. Because this is exactly what my mother tried to do to me. These old bitter-ass bitches. Like, this isn't an accident. They intentionally seek people out, like spiritual assassins or narcs or handlers, whatever you want to call them, to drag you into relationships, to trap you, so that everybody can eat off of your energy, your creativity. I've known this for a long time. Okay? Like, it's just the people that decided to be on that side of things, the reason you didn't know that is because you chose to be on that side of things. You could be over here protected and safe with me, about to get hella blessed. See, had anybody just recognized that, oh, I haven't taken accountability. Oh, I'm not living in truth. I'm living in denial. I'm overstepping my boundaries. Why do I even care what this person has going on in their life? Why am I stalking this person? Why am I validating a man that is stalking this person? Why am I plotting and planning on this person? Why do I feel like I have a right to withhold or steal the business, the platforms, the content, the everything this person built, me alone, with just God? Instead of actually looking in the mirror and being like, I am a giant piece of shit. I need to stop what I'm doing immediately, because what I'm doing is dangerous for me, my family, my children, and it's hurting another human being. This entire group of people have chosen not to do that. Anything that happens to you, anything, your health, your children, your jobs, your money, your community, is a consequence of that choice. And it's going to continue to be a consequence of that choice until I am made whole and my son is returned to me. That's just facts. God has already given a lot of grace and mercy and held me in a place of obedience, while you weirdos continue to try to send curses and hexes and black magic and play a little game. It doesn't work on me, because I don't rely on other people for validation. I don't allow other people to tell me how to feel about myself. I don't go within in dissonance. I recognize that a piece of shit is being a piece of shit. And I let them be a piece of shit, and then I cut them off like a cancer. So they can't continue to be a stinky bomb, a toxic piece of excrement in my energy. That's why my energy is the way that it is. And it makes people thirsty. That's why I look the way I do. That's why I still have energy, because I don't allow other people to control me. None of you ever had control over me. The connection I had with Derek was out of a pure heart. It was out of love, care, and concern for him. That has nothing to do with anybody else besides me and Derek. And it never will have anything else to do with anybody else besides me and Derek. Just like every other connection I had nothing to do with anybody else, because I'm a normal functioning person. My relationships are not a group project. It's clear that that's how y'all want to be, and that's totally fine. No judge. You don't see me judging you. You don't see me talking mad, gossipy shit about you. I don't judge other people for how they live their life. I may not agree with it or embody it myself. That doesn't have anything to do with me, though. Like, there's so many people that do not understand their own energy and their own empowerment. I was just listening to this chick yesterday who's like bounced around from different religions and different political blah, 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 blah. And like, she just keeps feeling rejected. And it's like, but because it's like she keeps blaming it on everything outside of herself. And in the same time, she's in denial that she has been introspective. It's like, no, you haven't been introspective, because had you been introspective, you would see that it doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. It doesn't have anything to do with Mormonism. It doesn't have anything to do with being a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't have anything to do with your job. It doesn't have anything to do with your money. It has to do with you. It's you. It's just you. I don't allow other people to tell me who I am. I never have, and I never will. And I damn sure don't let people control me. There's no need to control me. I communicate effectively. If I don't like you, I will tell you that if I feel like you need to know. But typically, I won't even tell you that. You'll just know. But you have to be a pretty extreme piece of shit for me to not like you. Because I just have a general amount of respect everywhere I go. I don't typically have a whole lot of great feelings about Freemasons. If I'm in the energy of a 75-year-old Grand Master I'm still going to show respect because I'm an adult. Like, it's insane to me that y'all are like trying to take from an ascended master when you're literally at like probably like a 3rd grade level of emotional intelligence here. Seriously. But anyways, so that's what they do. And unfortunately, like people like Britney and who's another one? Oh, Justin Bieber and Bam and all these other people who are the true creative source that all of these rodents around them want to eat off of. So that's why they go to their doctors. That's why they put them on meds. That's why they do voodoo and energy weapons and try to drive this narrative that there's something wrong with them. But if you actually knew what has been going on in the background and how they have struggled with codependency and people pleasing and letting people down, you would better understand the trauma, especially people you have cared for, right? It's like to have your own mother want to intentionally set you up to be institutionalized. Somebody who did not even raise you. It's the same thing in Demora Hadley's case. My mother did not raise me. My mom is a piece of shit who was a piece of shit in my life. I don't care who that offends. It's facts. If she behaved like a mother or a good person, I wouldn't speak that way about her. I'm speaking about it because till this day, that's still how she's behaving, and it is affecting my life and it is affecting my children. She can choose to behave a different way. When you have somebody who is intentionally trying to destroy you, intentionally trying to take you out, running a smear campaign that is causing you extreme trauma and disruption in your life, in your children's lives. Like, this woman went on a rampage of lies. Rampage. To anybody that would listen to her. And even after I gently tried to call it out and ask her to stop, she continued. To the point of actually making my children uncomfortable. Neither one of my children are comfortable. My daughter even asked her, like, what is going on with you? Why are you behaving this way? And you start to recognize it because she started to spiral there at the end, because nobody helped me with that. Nobody helped me with that. That was my choice. That was the decision I made and that I paid for. Damn sure not Derek. I wasn't even talking to Derek by that point. I even talked to this man in tears. I don't even know if he's still alive. Oh, shit is so crazy. I mean, of course, you have to consider the fact that they all thought I was going to be dead by this point. So I'm sure it's causing quite a bit of chaos. But now that I'm not dead, you would think that they would just release my money, speak the truth, return my son to me. It's not going to end well. I'm not growing in compassion for any of these people. And again, if you come anywhere near me, any one of you, before everything you stole is returned and my child is returned to me and the truth is spoken, as loudly as the disrespect was, don't come near me. You will be disappointed. Like, literally, you will be disappointed. There is no chance that I will have any communication with any of you outside of an attorney's office where we are discussing the terms of everything. Okay? So if you're planning anything other than that, don't, because you're going to be very hurt. Very hurt. I'm not interested in anything any of you have to say until my child is returned to me. You're actively abusing my child. Why would I give a fuck about anything you have to say when you're actively abusing my child, traumatizing my little boy? Like, you can literally burn in hell until William is returned to me.